are about to participate as jurors in a trial that involves the defendant accused of negligent manslaughter. The function of serving as a juror in a trial as one of your fellow citizens is a very important civic duty. The court official will now swear you in. Will you please stand and raise your right hands?
Do you swear to serve as a juror in this trial to the best of your ability, honestly and conscientiously, so help you God?
Now that you have been sworn in, let me remind you of the serious nature of your duties as a juror. You must listen very carefully, and you may take notes if you think it will help you in deciding on the credibility of each witness and each testimony. You must decide as to what is the truth if there is conflicting testimony or evidence. At the end of this trial, I will clarify the law as it pertains to this case to aid you in making your decision. We are now about to begin the case by listening to the opening statements from both teams of lawyers. These statements are almost blueprints to the case as the counsels will be presenting it. So please be attentive and listen closely. Counsel, are you ready to make your opening statements?
Good afternoon, Judge Edwards, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. There is no disputing the fact that a 17-year-old boy was struck by an automobile driven by the defendant on the night of August 21st, 1987. The boy was on his way home from a school dance when struck by the defendant after his night of celebrating. Granted, the defendant had the right to be celebrating his 50th birthday, but the young man had also the right to celebrate his 18th birthday, of which he has been deprived. And for what reason? The carelessness of another man. Not only do we wish to compensate the family for this tragic and untimely loss, but we also wish to prove to this society and others that a person has the right to live a full life, a life not to be ended by another person's negligence. People of the jury, picture yourself in a situation similar to that of this family. Imagine and feel the loss of a loved one, and at the same time know that loss was caused by another person's sheer negligence that could have been foreseen, thus a death that could have been prevented. Again, I would like to say that each of us we each do have the right to celebrate events in our lives, yet our celebration should not be at the expense of another's life. I'd like to ask you, the jury, is it more essential to drink alcohol and drive than it is essential to live? We as the prosecution team ask that you would keep that thought in mind. Thank you.
Defense, are you ready to present your opening statements?
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
Your Honor, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as you know, in this case, my client, Jeff Noble, was accused of negligent manslaughter. In this case, the burden of proof lies solely on the prosecution. The prosecution has to convince each and every one of you beyond a shadow of a doubt that Jeff's actions were due to just his carelessness and not due to the weather conditions or other surrounding circumstances. I'm not here to tell you your duty as jurors, but the law states that a man is proven until he is innocent until proven guilty. Before a decision is made, you, as jurors, must weigh all the facts and testimonies carefully. The number of drinks my client had on the evening in question is not the issue. The issue at hand is this man was not acting negligently. If indeed you carry out your duty as jurors and listen to all the facts and testimonies presented, I am sure your verdict will be one of innocence. If at this point your opinion is not objective, please speak now, and your duty as a juror will be dismissed from this case. Thank you.
Since the burden of proof lies solely on the prosecution, will they please call their first witness to the stand?
Paul Joseph Cunningham. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to help you God? Please do this. Hello, Mr. Cunningham. Paul Joseph Cunningham, were you working at the Green Lantern Lounge on the night of August 21st, 1987?
What were your working hours that night, Mr. Cunningham?
10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
So you were at the lounge at the time the defendant began socializing at the lounge at approximately 11:15 p.m.
That is correct.
Mr. Cunningham, did you wait on the defendant's table? Did the defendant order anything to drink?
Yes, he ordered quite a few drinks.
Mr. Cunningham, how do you remember serving alcohol to a defendant when you wait on a large amount of people every night?
Well, where I work out, it's a high-class nightclub, and many wealthy people come in and order drinks. And the drinks are expensive, and he ordered 5 to 6 martinis, and I waited on him, and he didn't leave me a tip. That's unusual for such a high-class, high spot, and I'll never forget the face of a person that doesn't leave me a tip.
Thank you. At this point, if any, please describe to the judge and the jury any mischievous actions performed by the defendant while you were waiting on him.
Yes, he was arguing with his wife about the birthday of their son. I thought that was unusual. And also, he asked me for a tea more martini instead of 2 more. And then, topping off, when he got up to pay for the bill, he knocked over an empty glass on the table onto the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Thank you.
Defense, do you wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes. Mr. Cunningham, what is your employment once again?
I'm waiting.
Okay, what is the name of this establishment?
Green Man Airlines.
How many people usually show up on a weekend night?
Very many.
A lot, okay. And you serve many people, correct?
A certain area where I serve certain many tables.
Okay. You stated that they were arguing about a birthday. Whose birthday was it?
Of their sons.
Of their son's birthday. My defendant couldn't decide on what day it was.
Well, I'm like we're arguing.
Okay, quickly, can you name your parents' anniversary?
Yes, December 14th.
Okay. You said that he was walking out and he stumbled over a few chairs. And you also stated, let me finish this. And you also stated that there were quite a few people in the tavern, correct? So could you not, or could you see that he was stumbling because of the population inside the establishment?
Well, like I said, I was giving him the bill. He was getting up from the table, going off of the glass.
Well, once again, I'm trying to get back to, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people in the place, correct? And you're not going to have, a lot of open space, correct? All right. You say he had 5 to 6 drinks. I'm not good with scientific things, but if you're serving that many people, you're not going to keep track of how many drinks. I mean, how do you keep track of everyone's number of drinks? How do you do this?
Well, it's possible I'll try to because I know if I serve a lot of drinks, then I have a higher tip coming. And the tip is almost like half of my employment. So, especially, I'm trying to see
how many people were at the table?
At their table?
Yes.
4.
How many did everyone else? How many drinks did everyone else have? You're not. Pardon me, I couldn't hear it. You're not sure. Okay. I'm done with my question.
Prosecution, do you wish to redirect? Prosecution called their second witness.
I'd like to call the next one still Laddish. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, please state your name and where you live and your occupation.
My name is I'm Max Dowagon. I live on Pleasant Street in I'm a house husband.
You say that you were waking up somehow. How were you waking up?
By the sound of the car screeching to the halt.
Okay, when you were waking up, what did you do then?
I went downstairs to see what time it was.
And what time was it?
1 o'clock.
Okay, since you heard the car screeching of the brakes, screeching brakes of the car, did you look out the window or did you do anything to
Yeah, I
see
looked out
what
the window to see
happened?
what was going on.
What did you see?
I seen a car parked like diagonally on the street with its hazards on. People walking away.
Okay. Since they were walking away, you just left it alone. What did you do next? You didn't call the police or anything like that, or you maybe saw an accident?
The people walking away.
Since you lived close to the accident, or so-called accident, at the car at the strange angle, no one came to the house or anything?
Yeah, the defendant came to my house and asked me to call police, but I didn't do it when he was there. I did after he came in after. He wasn't going to use the phone.
Why didn't you let him in your house?
He smelled like alcohol.
So you decided to call him yourself?
Well, there was an accident, so I didn't want him in my house, so I called.
You called the police by yourself?
Yeah.
Yourself. Okay, so the defendant walked away from the house. Did you hear him say anything, or?
He told me to call and get an ambulance, and I said I'd make the call. He smelled like alcohol, and they could call the police.
Okay, after he left, after you called the police, of course, the police would send a squad car and ambulance to the accident. So, what did you do then?
I went upstairs and I was looking out the window to see what was going on. There was 2 people in something laying in the middle of the road in front of the car.
So you say you saw someone on something or someone lying on the road. If it pleases court, I would like Mr. Stillwagon to give a narration story of what happened when he looked out the window for the second time.
Any objections to that, defense?
The second time?
Second.
Alright, there was 2 people standing in front of the car with something laying on the ground. And then the police squad car and the ambulance came up. And the policeman took the 2 people in the squad car. And then the ambulance drivers picked I guess it was the body, because they picked it up and put it in the ambulance.
No further questions. Your witness.
Defense, do you wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Stillwagon. So, you say you heard a screeching car, right?
Yeah.
It could have been somebody else's, that couldn't have been.
There wasn't other cars on the street.
But the road was wet, and I don't think that a car would make a screeching noise on a wet road.
It did.
Well, why didn't you contact anyone before coming to the door?
As soon as I got downstairs, he rang the doorbell.
Okay. And how was his appearance?
He seemed upset and shaky.
His clothes, how did he look?
I don't know.
Okay. You said, explain the scene again. Where was the body at?
It was in front of the car.
Okay, in the report, it stated the body was behind the car.
My report?
The law report.
It was a while ago.
And there was honestly, how can we get an accurate description of the accident when these facts aren't very clear? No further questions, Your Honor.
Counsel for the prosecution, do you wish to call the next witness?
We have no further witnesses. We'd like to request a recess.
Your Honor, you can give me 5 minutes. You don't have to grant that if you don't want to.
This court is recessed for 5 minutes.
Give me the gavel again.
Prosecution, would you now please call your next witness to the stand?
We'd like to call Frank Simmons for performance at the scene of the accident.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Okay, let's just get some general information here. How many years have you been a policeman?
About 15 years.
Okay, so you are pretty well established on the force?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. What is your shift during the summer?
From
Please speak up.
it's from 11:30 in the evening to 7:30 in the morning.
Okay, late August 21st, you were radioed, and what did they tell you? What did you hear?
I was the station had called me in approximately 10 minutes after 1 in the morning, saying that some trouble had arose at 429 Pleasant Street. I was in the vicinity, and I proceeded to the scene of the accident.
Okay, was it raining that night?
Yes, it was raining pretty heavily. My windshield wipers, it was very hard for me to see the road, so it took a while for me to get there.
Okay. When you were driving up there, what did you see?
I got out of my car, I seen the defendant's car parked at an angle with hazard lights and his regular lights on. I got out, me and my partner and I got out, and the ambulance had followed us to the scene. They were both hunched over the body, he was laying on the ground. So they had got up, the defendant looked fairly shooken up. So it was raining pretty hard, so I told him to proceed in the patrol car.
Okay. Now, from this point on, I would like to ask the court if it is all right for him to narrate his story as he saw it that night.
Objection, counsel.
Okay, it was about, as I said, 10 minutes after 1 in the morning. The station radioed in to me to proceed to 429 Pleasant Street, which I did at the scene of an accident. I got there, an ambulance had followed me, and my partner and I proceeded to get out the car. Seeing the defendant and his wife looking over the body laying on the ground. The defendant got up, he looked pretty shaken up, both of them did. So it was raining pretty bad, so I told him to proceed in the patrol car with me. He did so. He was in the back seat out in the front. So I asked him what exactly happened. He seemed slurred and seemed sort of drunk. I smelled whiskey on his breath. So I suspected he was drunk. That was my instinct to say he was drunk. So I began reading his rights, and I took him into the station, him and his wife. We got to the station. He was complaining about he wanted his lawyer and all this. I radioed in as we were going. I had him follow me. I was going at a very slow pace. My instincts said that he was pretty much under control after what happened, after all the excitement. So
So I had him follow me. I was going at a very slow pace. It was only a few blocks away from the station. So we got to the station. Okay. And then I had the lieutenant, I radioed in to get a breathalyzer test ready. The lieutenant gave the defendant the breathalyzer test. And then the lieutenant proceeded in his office to look at the results. As the lieutenant was in the office, the defendant was still arguing about he wanted to see his lawyer. So I pointed him, I gave him a phone call. He got it down off his wife and gave him a phone call. And as I was listening, he seemed slurred, he couldn't stand straight, talking to his lawyer. So after that, he just told me he wouldn't say anything unless his lawyer said it.
Okay, so you say you've been on the force for about 15 years.
Yeah.
So you've seen your share of drunk drivers and such like that.
Yes.
Okay. So you would be pretty well sure that he was, if not totally drunk, he was getting it. He was right to you.
Yes, he was.
Okay. So that's all you saw, right? After he said he would call his lawyer and all that, that's all that you talked to him?
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
Guys, do you wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Simmons, how long did you say that you were on the force?
15 years.
And is it normal procedure for you in cases of drinking and driving for you to proceed to let the accused get back into their car and drive themselves to the station?
Well, sir, not normally, no.
And as you stated, that you smelled whiskey on his breath at the time of the accident.
Yeah.
Isn't it true that, according to a statement earlier by Paul Cunningham, he was drinking martinis and
Objection to leading the witness.
Okay, so as I was saying, you as a statement by Paul Cunningham earlier, that he was drinking martinis, and martinis have no odor, they have no alcoholic odor, and yet you smelled whiskey on the defendant's breath. And when you were proceeding to the scene of the accident after you were radio, you said visibility was poor, and it took you an abnormal amount of time to arrive at the scene, correct?
Yes.
So, in a sense, the visibility could have been poor for the defendant, Jeff Noble.
It's a possibility.
Okay. And how fast would you say the defendant was going?
Well, the calculations of the skid marks, they were approximately 103 feet.
Okay.
That is between the speed of 40 to 45 miles an hour, and that was a 20-mile-an-hour speed zone.
Okay. When you arrived at the scene of the accident, how soon was it before you smelled the whiskey on the defendant's breath?
It was almost immediate after he began talking the story in the patrol car.
Yeah, you proceeded to let him drive back to the station.
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Prosecution, you wish to redirect?
Yes. Okay, when you got to the scene of the accident, was there any other cars around?
Well, he had reported to me as he was going down the road that a car was coming toward him. The lights, he said, he told me the lights were blinding him, and on top of that, the rain was coming down. Then the victim stepped in front of his car. So that's,
Since you stated that it might be possible for the visibility to be poor, if his headlights were on, if the defendant's headlights were on, would he be able to see the kid coming, the boy coming through the cars?
yes. At going the speed limit, with his headlights on, he would have been able to see
What speed limit, sir?
20 miles an hour.
Okay. When you got to the accident, what color of clothing did the body have on?
I don't recall.
Thank you, sir.
Do either party wish to recall this witness? Prosecution, lateness of the hour, this court will be adjourned until tomorrow at the same time.
Money talks. You know what I'm a small.
Be seated. Counsel for the prosecution, are you prepared to call your next witness?
Yes, we are. Jerry Carson. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please state your name and occupation.
Jerry Carson. I work for the Catch and Carry Rescue Service for the ambulance company.
Okay, you were the one who went to the accident on 429 Pleasant Street, weren't you? About what time did you get to the scene of the accident?
Somewhere between 1:20 and 1:30.
Where was the body of the boy? In front or the back of the car? How was the car angled? I mean, where was the headlights?
The car was at an angle pointing towards me.
So it stating that it looked like this.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Can I please? I'd like to object that this is not drawn to scale, and further, I'd like it to be removed from the courtroom.
Let me ask you one more question. What color were the boy's clothes when you put the boy into the ambulance?
Yellow.
Speak up one more
Yellow.
time. Thank you. No more questions.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. Mr. Kleins, when you were at the scene of the accident, did you have any trouble getting there because of the bad weather situation? And where did you say the body position was?
In front of the car.
Okay, well, according to the, sure wasn't behind the car.
Objection, Your Honor. I feel that that was irrelevant, and it kind of proved that someone was killed, not where the body was, but the rented body.
Sustained.
I can't establish all this. If he was there to pick up the body and he's explaining the scene of the accident, how can he give an accurate picture of the scene if not even knowing where the body was positioned at? No further questions.
Prosecution, do you wish to redirect?
I say it's a breach. Breach of justice. It's a mystery. The judge's prejudice.
Prosecution, are you prepared to call your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to call Ms. Jane Welch.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Pardon me for a minute, Counselor. Will the audience please be quiet? This is a court of law, not a jungle. You may continue.
Ms. Edwards, next on the judgment. There is no second chance in here. I've been looking back and I've been waiting for you to start. You don't put up with it, just kick them out, they're not coming back in.
What was your relation to the young man who was struck by the defendant?
He was my boyfriend.
I realize this must be painful talking about this incident, but please bear with me. Ms. Welch, would you say that you were close to him and knew him well?
Objection, Your Honor. I feel that the question is only irrelevant to the case.
Yeah, I will put it in the I will put it in the succession questions.
You cannot prove relevance, then I have to.
Well, what I'm trying to prove is that the credibility of the witness, and later on what he was wearing that evening, and then to therefore prove that what he was wearing would cause the defendant should have been able to sleep on the
Excuse me, Your Honor. What does his relationship, her relationship to the defendant, to the victim in this case, have to do with her witness credibility?
He has no bearing.
What was he wearing on the evening of August 21st, 1987?
A light yellow baseball uniform.
And why was he wearing this uniform?
He works the school dance that they're trying to raise money for new baseball uniforms.
Okay. Well, Ms. Welch, would you believe that the color of his uniform, being, as you said,
Light yellow.
would easily and noticeably reflect the headlights of an oncoming car?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Cause for speculation.
Thanks.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Defense, do you wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes. Mrs. Walsh, where were you and the victim at that particular evening?
We were at
The school dance. What was he wearing at the school dance?
white, yellow, baseball uniform.
He was wearing a baseball uniform at a dance.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. What are the school colors?
Yellow and blue.
Okay, let me ask you once again. He was wearing a baseball uniform and a cap. I do believe you stated that.
No, I did not say that. He did not have a cap on.
What was the purpose of the dance?
To raise money for new baseball uniforms.
Thank you.
Do you wish to redirect the examination?
No, I don't.
Do either party wish to call this witness?
Yes.
At this time, does the prosecution have any other witnesses?
No, due to the fact that our one witness is in the hospital today, I would like to read a deposition and then reserve the right to question him and for the defense to have reserve the right to cross-examine him.
Do you guys have any objections to
Yes, I'd like to call sidebar, please. I'd like to call sidebar.
this court is recessed for 2 minutes?
Okay, let me explain to you what happened here so that you know what's going on. A very key, important witness of the prosecution is not here today. Is it policeman at the scene or at the station?
Station.
At the station, okay. Now what was going on here is the prosecution was going to go ahead and have a reading of a deposition. All right. Now a deposition is a statement that any of you have been to court before may know what it is, but if you haven't, a deposition is when both the prosecution and the defense sit down with a stenographer before a judge when the questioning takes place. All right. Now what the prosecution wanted to do in Jason's absence, they wanted to go ahead and read the deposition to the jury and of course to you people who are watching the trial. All right, meantime, the defense says no, they don't want to do that. So what happens now? That decision is up to the judge as to what to do. Now, they can't call any of their witnesses because this case, the prosecution is still presenting their case, and they haven't rested. All right? Now, yesterday, Adrian Prolarski wanted to recall, who was it? Frank Simmons, was it? Okay, now Adrian's on the field trip. Now, since that was Adrian's witness, these two ladies do not want to question him because that's Adrian's witness. Now, most people have one attorney, but you can have as many as you want to. And what happens in cases like this is each of these attorneys breaks down into which clientele they're going to cover. So in a real courtroom, they don't want this to happen. They want it to happen. The judge is going to decide. If the judge says, no, we can't come to an agreement, then it's up to them to call for a recess. Now, you people here from other classes, don't leave. You stay put, you can socialize if that's what the judge decides you're going to do. Okay? So go ahead and make the motion. You decline it and then go from there. Okay?
Your Honor, I move that this court recess till tomorrow.
Due to the fact that neither party can reach an agreement, this court is hereby adjourned until Tuesday at the same hour.
Okay, you guys don't have to go much. Sit down and work me on.
Audience, may I remind you of the warning that I issued to you on Friday. Any more occurrences like that, you will be thrown out. Prosecution, are you now ready to call your witness?
Yes, sir. I'd like to call Officer Jason Havana. Sorry.
You know what? Both sides agree that the witness is
Occurred at approximately 1 a.m. August 21st.
Objection, Your Honor. It's already been established that it was an accident.
For the record, she may.
What time, Officer Havana, did Officer Simmons call you at the police station?
About 1:45 a.m.
Okay. What did Officer Simmons request that you do?
Prepare breath test.
Is it true, Officer Havana, that the longer you wait before giving a breathalyzer test, the more time there is for the alcohol level to drop in the...
Professional witness.
Thank you.
He is professional.
Excuse me.
Is it true that the longer you wait before giving a breathalyzer test, the more time there is for the alcohol level to drop in a person's bloodstream?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What did the breathalyzer test indicate?
0.08.
Your Honor, I would like to submit this as exhibit A. Does this indicate that the defendant was legally intoxicated at the time the test was given?
No, it doesn't.
What is alcohol level in the bloodstream that makes legal
Objection,
intoxication?
Your Honor. We're not trying to establish if the defendant was drunk. We're trying to establish his negligence.
Yes, we are trying to establish if he was drunk because that could be a possibility why he
The
was
charge is
negligent.
not drunk.
Yes, they are.
It is negligent manslaughter.
And
The definition
due
of
to
negligence,
DWI.
may I remind you, is carelessness. Carelessness through drunk driving could be the cause.
So that means that that 0.08 is only 2/10 away from legal intoxication. Do you think that approximately 45 minutes before the test was taken, when the accident occurred, the defendant possibly could have been legally intoxicated?
It's possible.
At the time of the accident, Officer Levana, would you consider the defendant to have been an unsafe driver?
Yeah, I would consider him to be an unsafe driver.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Prosecutor, witness.
Urbana. What time did you give the breathalyzer test?
I don't recall.
Don't recall. Down here it has 2:01 a.m. I do believe that within an hour, the blood alcohol content goes down 0.1. Correct? Do you know this or?
Correct.
Okay. What was his condition while he was taking the breathalyzer test?
What do you mean, what was his condition? I don't understand the question.
Do you think he was quote drunk or
Well, he's obviously shaken and upset.
over the accident or?
How would you investigate that? You know,
Well, since you're an expert, you saw many of these cases, I thought you would know.
Objection.
Being an expert on drunken driving has nothing to be an expert on psychology. Nothing to do with it. That was not my question. Mr. Labana, how many years have you been with him? And how many drunk driving cases have you been involved in?
I don't know how many exactly.
Okay, in your many cases, when someone is picked up while intoxicated, is it normal that they're allowed to drive their car back to the station or back home?
No, it's not.
Thank you. No further questions.
Do you wish to redirect your examination?
Officer Vanna, were you the officer that gave the defendant permission to drive?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Any further questions?
Do either parties wish to recall this witness a couple of times?
Yes.
Prosecution, do you have any further witnesses at this time, or do you wish to recall any?
Yes, whether we wish to call Mr. Cunningham, please.
Mr. Cunningham, may I remind you, we're still on the road.
Okay, Mr. Cunningham, we'd like you to point out a few things here. We have a diagram of the Green Lantern Club, and we would like Mr. Cunningham to point out where his station is being able to get.
Well, I have to take care of tables from here on down. From here down.
Okay. Now, could you show us where the defendant's table was at? Could you show that to the judge?
That's one right here. This is the stage.
Okay. Now, could you also tell us where Mr. Noble sat that night?
It was in this chair on possible.
Okay. Now, it's quite clear by this right here, if you look, that since his table was out, nicely spaced, his chair was on the end, that he had quite enough room to maneuver his way out without tripping anything except his nose. Now, to further my point of the idea that he could not trip over a chair, a table, a person, I'd like to ask Mr. Cunningham to explain to you, as well as the rest of the people in this court, how the tables are set up and how they are made in the green room.
Well, the tables are set up. They're round. All the tables are round. They're held up by one stem, it's like a round cylinder. And the way it's situated is situated for where it's very crowded, that there will be obstacles where people will not be bumping into each other.
Okay. Now, earlier in this trial, the defense made a feeble attempt at discrediting our witness, Mr. Simmons, by pointing out the fact that martinis have no odor. Well, could you please tell us, Mr. Cunningham, what kind of alcohol do they use in your establishment?
He asked for a martini it was made mostly with gin.
How would you know that?
Well, he requested that, and gin did have a slight odor.
So you would be able to smell it on someone's breath. That's all further questions.
Yes, I have. You say that you believe that Mr. Noble, the defendant, may have been under the influence of alcohol the evening at the Green Lantern, correct? Okay, being a bartender, why in fact would you continue serving him?
Excuse me, he's not a bartender, he's a waiter.
Okay, waiter, son. Okay, being a waiter, why would you continue serving him knowing or believing that he was under the influence of alcohol?
Well, he requested the drink, so
Is that normal procedure for you to continue serving someone?
That's his job. He is to serve the public.
No, I believe that a bartender's job,
He is not a bartender.
a waiter's job in this situation is to cut off all drinks from the bottle.
Says who?
Overruled the state law.
Thank you. Okay, so would you say, possibly, that the defendant was not under the influence? Or you wouldn't have continued serving him, correct? So maybe he wasn't under the influence. Answer the question, please. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Your Honor, we just like to put in one more statement here. The point is whether or not he served the defendant more than he should have. That's not the point here. The fact is that he had been drinking and he could have possibly been drunk. That's not his problem. That's the defendant's problem. He should have been when he stopped.
What I'm trying to establish in my line of questioning is that he feels that the defendant may have not been under the influence of alcohol. Thank you.
Prosecution, do you have any further witnesses to call this time?
No, the prosecution rests.
The prosecution has arrested the gentleman who prepared to call your first witness to stand.
I'd like to recall Frank's name.
I remind you also to do so that you're still on your oath.
Mr. Simmons,
Yes, sir.
you stated earlier that you measured the skid marks to determine the speed of the automobile.
Yes, sir, I did.
And how fast would you say that the automobile was going?
About 40 to 45 miles an hour.
And I believe you're an expert on determining these speeds to a basic approximation.
Yes, sir, I've had training.
Okay. Now, if the road was wet, wouldn't he in fact slide further?
Well, not necessarily. Depends on what kind of tires he had.
Okay. On the night of the accident, did you see the body?
Well, when the ambulance came, I seen, yes, I did, sir.
And what was he wearing?
Yes, he had a yellowish sort of suit on.
You know what kind of suit it was? Or any markings or anything on it?
No, he was,
Objection. The facts have already been established as to what the uniform was.
Trying to establish for the record.
No markings or anything?
he was bloody. Then I was talking to the defendant. That's when I turned my head away from the victim.
Okay, no further questions.
Prosecution, to wish you cross-examine.
Now, Mr. Simmons, do you think that, okay, they said that the road was wet, they would have slid further. Granted, yes, that's common sense. But do you not think if this
Objection,
person-
he's calling for opinion.
Do you not think that if someone was of total mind, not a little slashy there, if they would have known to go a little slower, and it was raining, visibly was down, windows were fogged, it was wet, I think anyone in the right mind would know to go slower. I think that's a really ludicrous statement you're trying to make.
Your Honor, even if he was going slower, due to the weather conditions, his visibility would be greatly reduced, and his reaction time would be a lot slower.
It is still the driver's responsibility to be cautious and to be
Argumentative.
The prosecution wishes that it would be totally stricken from the record because it's argumentative. No matter if you go 25 or what, if you get a speed limit, you still have to go slower. I don't think it should be stricken from the record.
So no matter what the speed was, the conditions were rough or dry. Thanks.
Overruled all knowledge.
Prosecution, do you have any further questions for this witness?
I'd like a sidebar, please.
You know the road conditions are bad, you shouldn't be speeding over there. You should be going what you should be going under speed. I don't think kids are learning too much court procedure. I don't think the kids are learning too much court procedure. I don't know how to be quiet. Judge would have thrown them all out.
Prosecution, do you wish to continue with this witness?
Your Honor, the defense rests.
Jury, since the defense rests, I must tell you a few facts about this case.
We're prepared to give closing statements tomorrow.
Tomorrow we'll hear closing statements, and I will send you off to deliberate your position. This court is in recess until tomorrow.
Okay, Judge Edwards, wait before anybody moves. All right, tomorrow is your test, right? Okay, tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Okay, Thursday. The court will be reconvened Thursday. Thursday? Okay, any of you guests from other classes?
You may be seated. Prosecution, are you ready for your closing statement?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, everyone in this court knows that alcohol impairs your reflexes. Whether a person has 2 drinks or 20 drinks, negative effects are inevitable and sometimes even permanent. No one, I mean no one, should be behind a wheel with alcohol in their system. At this point, it is irrelevant why the waiter, Mr. Cunningham, served the defendant 5 to 6 martinis. The fact is, he drank them. And jury, aren't you wondering why the defense did not put Mr. Noble on the stand? Maybe it's because the defendant could not face you knowing his negligence killed a young boy. How could you have been so remiss?
The negligent or careless doing of work or duty. Let's talk about that. Performance of duty. On the night of this terrible crime, was it the boy's duty to make sure he wasn't hit by a speeding truck? You know, I'll tell you what his duties were. His duty was to go out with his girlfriend, spend time with his family, which has been taken away from him.
Quiet.
His family's duty now is to pick up the pieces that shattered lives because of Mr. Noble. He was supposed to study for finals for high school. And he was supposed to worry about his future, which has been taken away from him, hasn't it, Mr. Noble? What were your duties that night? Was it your duty to have 1 or 2 more martinis than you needed? Was it your duty to be stubborn and drive a car? Was it your duty to speed in unfavorable weather conditions? Was it his duty to run down a boy in the prime of his life? I ask you, the jury, not to be remiss in your duty finding defendant, Mr. Noble.
Is the defense ready for the closing statement? Quiet.
Don't ask him for that. If you see him talking, pitch him. You don't have to ask for that. You tell him out.
Justice, rightfulness, lawfulness, well-founded reason. I'll give you another quote from the World Book Picture Records. Prosecution is the side that starts action against another in a court of law. The prosecution makes certain charges against the defendant and must prove their offense. Throughout this entire trial, the defense has done considerably more than an evil job of discrediting each and every witness put on the stand. The position of the body was not decided on. The attire of the deceased was in disaccord. Furthermore, the testimonies of the prosecution's witnesses were conflicting. We, the defense, felt that presenting our witnesses was not necessary in this case. The burden of proof does not lie upon the shoulders of the defense, but upon the prosecution. They have to instill in the hearts and minds of each and every one of you that my client is guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt. Let me emphasize, a shadow of a doubt. The law states that a man is innocent until proven guilty. If you feel the prosecution has done a sufficient job in doing so, then so be it. But if there is any question in your mind, you will have to give the verdict of not guilty.
Prosecution, do you have a rebuttal? Why? Why? I mean, somebody was killed. Somebody was killed. Can you imagine the heartache and the agony of a loved one killed? All I have to say is, jury, I find no reason for you to find this man innocent. He killed someone.
Jury will now go deliberate.
Where are we going?
What a surprise, man.
Listen to us, Mike, they're coming.
You may be seated
Depends
before
on
you
what we
remain
wonder.
standing. Have you reached a decision? The jury finds Jeff Noble not guilty.